Today we're going to test out our new 410 amp hour Redodo lithium battery, and we'll see where this thing lands after 24 hours. Whoa! That's major.
Well, hello there. Welcome back. Today's the big day. We're gonna put our battery to the test. We're gonna shut everything off and do it real boondocking style.
With the safety net.
With the little safety net. But first, Cody has to take me exploring. It doesn't take a genius to know that when viewers and visitor centers and your camper neighbors tell you to come to a park, you should check it out.
Yeah, this is really neat. So the whooping cranes are kind of in season right now, and there's a good little sampling of them right out here, but the wingspan on them is huge. I don't know if I've just never seen a whooping crane. The cows standing next to them just kind of as a point of reference on how big these things are. These things are massive.
Understanding that there are three main things here at Goose Island State Park. That's the whooping cranes.
Whooping cranes.
Whooping cranes. The big tree, which we're on our way to see. And the views, quite simply.
There's a lot of pelicans hanging out too. They're pretty prominent down here. But yeah, tons of wildlife.
It's a cat.
So this is the appropriately named big tree. The plaque says it's hundreds of years old. The visitor center says it may be 1,000 years old. We're not sure. We'll have to dig into that a little bit further, but you can tell this thing is old and it's massive. You can see where they've had to cut some of the dead branches off, and they have them supported with like a piece of metal. There's some cables up here to kind of keep the tree growing and going in the right direction. But this is just incredible, and it will really make you feel about this small in the grand scope of the universe when you see something like this and think about all the things that it's witnessed in its lifetime.
We're right here on the coast. Can you imagine how many storms this thing has withstood?
That's the crazy part. You see these hurricanes and tornadoes and things come through, and this thing's probably seen both. Who knows what all this thing has seen, and it's still standing. Looks a little rough in places, but it's still alive and well.
Like us. Cody, did you know that today, February 20th, is the National Love Your Pets Day?
Isn't that every day at our house? I mean, I feel like these dogs get treated better than most people.
No. Some days they're hard.
Well, I guess we picked a really good day to bring the dogs to the beach, because I swear that's Eris's, and Charlie loves it too, but that's Eris's favorite activity.
She's in heaven. We just tried to get her not to dig up like the little crab claws. They're getting a bath when they get home.
Yeah, she actually got a little ill the other night. Somebody, I guess, was frying chicken or cooking chicken at camp, and she found some discarded chicken bones before we could get them away from her, so she kind of had an upset stomach, but she's good to go today.
Has anyone else come across that? This is like the third time that our dogs have gotten a hold of discarded chicken bones. Who is tossing chicken bones outside of their camper? Just tossing them out next to the road. That's gross.
I think they thoroughly enjoyed National Love Your Pet Day. Today we're going to test out our new 410 amp hour Redodo lithium battery. We were going to start this test last night, but we got in kind of late running around, so we're starting it today. We're testing this in conjunction with our Furrion solar panel that's supposed to bring in about 370 watts. It's a little bit cloudy today, so we're probably not going to get the full potential out of that, but we'll kind of see how this goes. Anytime we're doing an upgrade to the RV, we always try to think about what our goals are for the project. And we know solar and lithium systems can start way down here, and they can go through the roof and to the moon with $10,000 plus, you know, if you want to run your air conditioners and stuff like that. We're pretty simple. Our goal here is to be able to go 24 hours off grid. So if we want to do an overnight when we're doing a longer trip and just stay at a rest area or a truck stop or a Cracker Barrel, no problem keeping everything going. Or if we wanted to do a harvest host and spend a full 24 hours off grid, we just want to know that we're taken care of. So I think today being partly cloudy is a really good day to do it. So for this test, we wanted to mimic the boondocking experience as much as possible. I've disconnected the power, I've disconnected the water and filled up our water tanks, because in a boondocking situation, I'm not going to have city water, so I need to account for any battery draw that comes off of the water pump. So what do we have running right now? Because all that stuff's important. We have our 12-volt double-door fridge running right now. We have lights and a max air fan. We've got our phones charging on USB. I've got the Starlink running off of our inverter in the front bay, so that's pulling off of the batteries, and our little Westinghouse power box that we use for our laptops and our TV and stuff like that. I've been topping that off using an extension cord coming off of the power inverter. Essentially for us, we have no AC, none of our household 110 plugins are working. That's kind of what we have going on. It's a very basic setup. We've got very basic goals with this. The next thing we have to figure out is how do we want to test it? Well, our Grand Design RV came with the Furrion battery monitor, which I recalibrated to account for the bigger battery. So we're making this a really simple test, not too scientific. We're just going to check the battery monitor once an hour while we're awake and make notes on that and share the results with you guys. And we'll see where this thing lands after 24 hours. Let's talk about our system from day one. Our rig came standard with one 100 amp hour lead acid old school deep cycle battery. We found that pretty quick that wasn't going to be enough for us, so we added a second lead acid battery of the same size. It struggled to get us through an overnight. It was kind of a problem because during the summer, when we have long days and lots of solar, it did okay to get us through the night. But as the days started getting shorter, and especially when we started having to run the furnace, we were dropping below 50% in about 6 to 8 hours, so we knew we had to do something different here. The plus with lithium batteries is that you can run them all the way to zero and it's not going to hurt them. With the lead acid battery, anytime you get below 50%, you run a risk of doing damage to the battery and shortening its lifespan. We kicked off our test at 7 a.m. this morning in complete darkness, and in the first hour we found that we lost about 3% of the battery, and that was with Angela and I both taking showers, running the water pump continuously, all the lights on and stuff like that. Since then, it's been much better. By 11 o'clock, we had dropped about 5% off of the battery, just living normally here. But once the sun kind of got at a good angle, we started picking up charge pretty quick. By noon, we had picked up nearly a full percent charge, and as it sets right now, we're at 95.6%, and we're a little over 5 hours into the test, and the meter's going up, so that's good news. I have no doubt that we're going to get through today without any issues. We'll see what happens tonight when the sun goes down. other day when we were in Port Aransas, we mentioned that we ran into a really nice police officer on the pier, Officer Haber, and he told us where to get the best bacon cheeseburger in the area, so we went over to a place called The Shack. Well, actually, Angela went over to a place called The Shack because I was working and this is my lunch, so we're ready to dig in. And then you've got something else over here.
Yeah, so these are jalapeno bombers. They just looked really good, so we're gonna try those too.
First things first, let's get into this cheeseburger.
It's a smokehouse and seafood place. I just don't think you can go wrong.
Mmm.
Good? Yay, I'm excited.
That's ridiculously good.
I'm gonna get some napkins because I'm gonna make a mess. The Shack in Rockport, Texas.
I think somebody's jealous over there.
You can't eat this, Charlie. No. No.
Local food recommendations for the win. We always get the best recommendations from you guys and a lot of great recommendations from people in person.
Yeah.
However, please don't be offended or hold it against us if we don't show your recommendation online, because if we keep eating out all the time and eating the kind of things we've been eating, our truck's going to be overweight because of us. It's not going to have anything to do with the camper. That's the road we're on, so.
It's true. I'm running out of clothes. It's either the dryer shrinking all my clothes or I've been eating out too much. So we got to get our lives together.
Getting expensive too, but.
That's true. All right, don't look.
If you haven't seen our first video where we installed the Redodo 410 amp hour lithium battery, we'll put a link to that in the description of this video. We'll put a thumbnail here or here so you know what you're looking for. When I installed that battery, I got a ton of great comments from all of you about some things that I might need to consider, one of which being the temperature in the battery bay. I don't know a whole lot about lithium batteries, just enough to keep me out of trouble, but I do know that once it drops below 32 degrees, charging them can be dangerous. Our battery has a built-in BMS, so it will stop it from taking charge below 32 degrees, but again, our battery's not taking charge. I had a lot of people suggest to put some kind of a temp thermometer in the front battery bay so that we can keep an eye on it. So I just went back with the GoVee temperature sensors. I love these. We bought one in June of last year to replace our Waggle pet monitor when the subscription prices started getting out of control. I love these things. You can put them anywhere. They're small and the batteries seem to last forever. I think we put that in June or July and I haven't changed the AA batteries in it yet. So I picked up two more, one of which I've mounted in the front bay by the batteries. I was able to set alerts so that if it starts to get below 40 degrees is kind of my threshold. It's going to give me an alert on my phone. If I run into that much, I'll probably put a drop light or some sort of small heat source in there. Hopefully we're not going to be camping in any more of those super cold temperatures this year. But it's something to consider if you do a lot of winter camping and you're going to run lithium batteries. And while I was at it, I went ahead and put one in the underbelly of the trailer by the fresh water tank. Hopefully that'll alert me if the temperatures start to drop and keep us from freezing up again. Don't forget, if you see something on our channel that you're interested in as far as a product goes, be sure to check the description. We always try to list anything we used or installed in the video there for you guys to look at, check out on your own. In addition to our Amazon store page and other links, we always try to put the campground we stayed at so you guys have some information if maybe you want to check it out in the future, along with anything we did that was fun while we were there. And if we miss it, keep us honest and let us know. We're always willing to answer you in the comments if you're looking for something specific.
I've gone as long as I can without my straightener. Supposedly, our inverter can pull quite a bit more than what my straightener pulls. So we're gonna give this a shot. If it does anything weird, I'm gonna pull the plug, quite literally. Oh, it works. We're playing a little.
We're playing around, we're testing some things. So we've had a really good day with our battery test. It's actually done a lot better than I think I thought it would. We went all day and the solar kept up and even recharged at some point. So we've been doing pretty good. So I'm looking at everything we have on. It's pitch black dark in here. The only thing that should really be pulling any power is whatever this is taken to light up all my screens in here and the fridge. And we're losing right at 7 amps. It's drawing down 7 amps. Here's what's funny. You would think these little dome ceiling lights wouldn't draw much power, So like right now, that adds an extra 3 amps of draw, so I'll cut that off. So if I turn on the awning light, that takes it up about 0.7 amps. If I turn on our overhead lights right here,
Probably not much.
about a half an amp, roughly. When I turn on the pendant lights over the sink, which is what I thought would be the most draw because they're normal standard household lights, they're drawing 0.4 amps and they're super bright, so that kind of surprises me. If I turn on the rope lights that are like island lights underneath the island, that just kicked it up 1.7 amps to turn the island lights on. Whoa! Kill it. When you turn the water pump on, it increases our power usage by 6 amps. That's major. So like the water pump almost runs as much energy as the fridge does. And we'll take it one step further. With the furnace running, it's drawing 16.2 amps. And with everything off but the fridge, it's drawing about 7. So the furnace is definitely our biggest power user. Fridge being second, probably tied with second or third for the water pumps. Battery's dropping, but it's getting dark, so that's to be expected. It's been an interesting test. It's been fun to learn a little bit about what our system can do. And we'll give you the final results tomorrow morning because we're going to go all night without power, and we're going to get a snapshot about 7 a.m. tomorrow before we hook up and hit the road.
Sorry I left you. Preventative measures. Save the casseroles.
Good morning and happy Saturday to you all. While Angela's down sweeping up under the slides, just wanted to say good morning. Hope you guys are having a great weekend wherever you're at. We're getting ready to pack it up and leave out of here. We're on our way to Houston, Texas today. We just finished up our 24-hour boondocking experience where we had no electrical power for 24. And we're excited to share those results with you later on in this video.
Every campground has its positives and its negatives. The negatives are the sites are really tight. You're really crammed in here. However, it's got so many amenities and activities, and you've got waterfront. We have a campground literally right next to us. We peeked over the fence at it.
It's twice the price and it's empty.
Literally twice the price. They do have nice lots, but I can't tell that they have anything else, and to me that's not worth double. There's always something going on in the clubhouse from morning, whether they're just having their coffee together,
Karaoke at night,
to evening. They have community bicycles. They just have a bike rack out here.
Just go get one.
And people use them. There's always someone walking, biking. It's very active.
But it's almost 9 a.m. We got a 4-hour drive that should land us in Houston right at check-in time.
I'm ready to load up. Let's get going.
Let's go. Quick reminder, as I was getting ready to leave this morning, I checked my tires just like I do religiously every time I'm getting ready to pull the rig down the road. Remember, when it gets cold, your air pressures are likely to drop. So if you roll in somewhere and it's 40 degrees and your tires are set right, and tomorrow it's 28 degrees, odds are you're going to need to add some air. On the flip side of that, as the temperatures warm up, you might have to make a downward adjustment. For instance, when we left Fort Worth, it was about 35 degrees and we had our tires set at 110 on the trailer. Today I checked them and it's, probably pushing 70 degrees, 65 anyway, and high humidity. All of my tires were at 118 PSI after the trailer sat for 2 weeks. So I know it's really easy to remember to check them when it's cold. It's just as important to check them as the temperatures start to rise. You may need to let some air out. Just make sure you go with your manufacturer's recommendations on whatever the cold PSI should be. Start the day right for some safe travel.
There's 3 things that we ran off of the RV and off of the battery last night. Our max air fan, because it got warm. We had our fridge going, obviously. And then we had our little Westinghouse power box, and we recharged it off of the inverter and battery, which worked out beautifully. I did get to use my blow dryer this morning, but it was after our 24-hour target period, but I did miss it. You want to throw us some stats this morning?
Yeah, but before I do, I want to give a quick update. If you guys remember back in New Mexico, I put a Renogy 700 watt power inverter in the battery bay for the purpose of running our Starlink when we boondock. That's been working out great, but it was a lifesaver because I used that to recharge my Westinghouse box. Angela even used it to run a hair straightener last night before we went out. That thing has worked out great. As far as the Redodo 410 amp hour battery, that thing was awesome. We shut the power off yesterday at 7 a.m. We were at 100% battery, running the fridge, charging phones off our USB ports that are built into the camper, running lights, the fan, the water pump, the whole 9 yards. We only dropped between 0.5% and 1% per hour. When the sun got to its peak midday, we actually started charging. Even though we were running all that other stuff, we were taking on a positive charge. Suffice to say, about the lowest it got all day yesterday was about 94%. By 4 o'clock, it had got back up to 97 and was charging, and then once the sun started to go down, it started to dip a little bit. One thing we're learning about solar is solar hits its peak kind of in the midday, and we were partly cloudy yesterday, so I'm definitely happy with the way that the solar panel performed in this whole deal. Last night, we ran the max air fan. We had our little Milwaukee fan running off of a drill battery, so that was nice. This morning, obviously, we had dropped some power because we had no sunlight, got up, took showers off the water pump and stuff like that, but the lowest it dropped was down to 69.3 at 7:30 this morning, and we still had all the voltage, all the juice we needed. I'm fully confident we could go probably 2 days if we needed to, so the battery upgrade is a great success, and I'm really, really happy with the performance of that battery.
I'm thinking we could do more than 2 days if it's full sun, because it would keep recharging.
I'm a big data guy, and anything I'm going to add to the RV has to pencil out, as in it has to make financial sense to spend, especially if you're going to buy some of these bigger batteries and solar systems. It's really got to pay off. Our goal and desire is not to spend weeks on end off grid, but we know if we want to go out to certain places out west and be close to the parks, we're going to need that kind of stuff. The only thing that worries me is if we had like 3 cloudy days in a row, we may have to start rationing power, but we do carry our little generator if we got in a bind. So I'm happy with that as it stands. I'm not really looking to add any more solar panels. I don't feel like we need them for what we do. And if you add a whole bunch of solar, you end up having to add more batteries so that the solar charge has a place to go and you can go a little longer on your boondocking.
Well, I do think that there can be a misconception there too. People that are brand new to the RV world. I'm not saying there's something wrong with solar. I think it's an amazing thing to have. But it goes back to what you said about knowing what your goals are. And if you're brand new to the RV community, start small. Get out there, see what your RV can do, and just know that there's a lot of cost that's involved for sometimes very little payoff. So you got to know what you're planning to do with it.
If you think about the idea of spending, $5,000 to $10,000, maybe more from what I've seen online, our average campground over the course of a year is less than $40 a night. I don't think I would ever boondock that much to get that cost back. It would just take a really long time. We've said it before, we're lazy campers, but it's all about what works for you.
We knew when we saw Texan, it was gonna be a big one. I know we've already had National Cheese Day, but we missed just recently National Cheddar Day. And I like to see that our nation is appreciating the cheeses. That's my first week, Joe.
Cheese is greatly appreciated in our house.
Let's play Inverter Converter.
I got a lot of comments about this on our first battery video because in the bloopers I kept messing up inverter converter. I knew the difference, I just couldn't say the difference. Was that our current inverter was not going to charge this lithium battery.
Inverter, not converter, right?
Oh, converter. I'm going to crawl in here and give you guys a peek of just what it looks like changing out this inverter. Alright, so through weeping and gnashing of teeth, we have the new inverter in, but I did want to clarify because we did get some comments that asked some questions about what we had done to the system. So for the record, we did have to change our power converter, which charges our batteries, so we would have enough juice to charge the lithium battery. The lithium batteries need a little bit more oomph to get them all the way up to 100%. For anybody who may not know, the difference is really simple. So your converter takes your AC power, which comes off your power pedestal, and turns it into DC power to charge your batteries. That's really all the converter does on most RVs, is just to keep your battery topped off, because you're running two separate electrical systems. You have a 12-volt system that runs things like your lights, your furnace, your fridge, your water pump, and you have your AC system, which runs your air conditioners, your microwaves, your household plug-in outlets, your TV, all that good stuff. So your battery's always working, even if you are plugged into shore power. On the other side of the coin, your inverter takes DC power off your 12-volt battery and converts it into AC power that you can plug a household item into. Back in New Mexico, we added a Renogy 700-watt power inverter to run our Starlink and stuff like that, or Angela's hair straightener with an extension cord when we were doing our boondock test. So that's really the big difference between the two. Thanks to everybody that made a comment about that. I thought those bloopers were funny too. So let's play. If we want to plug our Starlink in and run it off the battery, what do we have to do?
Can you repeat the question?
If we're boondocking and we want to run our Starlink off the battery, you can't plug a household connection into a 12-volt battery. What do you need to make that possible?
What are you asking me? If you want to plug into the wall?
If we can't plug in.
Okay, we're not plugged in.
We are not plugged in. We are boondocking, and we need to run our Starlink or your hair straightener.
Inverter.
Right.
Because it converts from the battery into power that we can use inside the camper.
Right.
Yay!
And when you're using that power and you're sucking down the battery, and you need to charge the battery, so we plug into a power pedestal, what's responsible for taking power pedestal power at 110 volts and turning it into 12-volt battery power?
That's your converter.
See, she gets it.
It took me a minute, but I got it.
It's not that complicated.
It's just complicated to say, right?
I know it up here, I just had to bring it out here.
And in fairness, he didn't think it was funny at the time, those bloopers. There was nothing funny going on there. I thought it was funny.
Something about reshooting the same clip 32 times gets a little annoying.
We're looking forward to a week here. We've got some things a little different to show you. Make sure you tune in.
Thank you guys so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with us and joining us on our journey. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Our subscriber count is going up, 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 and we love it. So let's take this 5,000 and make it 10 and beyond. Thanks for hanging out with us today. See you guys next time.
Hey, I can't see you. Cody, I can't see you. Can you move like 2 feet to your right where I can see you? Move into the window.
Didn't say the difference.
That's an eagle.
That was an eagle.
This campground has been good. Oh, I got lightheaded standing up. Hang on.
And that's where the bloopers come from.
Woo!